So, can a soldier be a terrorist? Hi, this is Phil Gurski, President and CEO of Borealis Threat and Risk Consulting in Russell, Canada, and you're listening to Quick Hits. Well, it's time for another Marvel film review from somebody who spent 32 years in security intelligence to look at part of the plot line that may have to do with national security and terrorism. And the movie I'm going to talk about today is Captain America Winter Soldier, which dates back to 2016. Full disclosure, I'm kind of halfway through watching all the Marvel movies in order, as my son Sean has given me the sequence in which to watch them so they make some kind of sense. So I'm doing that. So, of course, Winter Soldier is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Marvel fans, the second Captain America film. And it takes place, of course, later. Captain America takes place during World War II. He's a hero against the Nazis, of course. And then this secretive HYDRA organization created by the Nazis, and we had the red-headed guy and blah, blah, blah. This one takes place, of course, in the present. And it occurs after I think the last Avengers film, where the Earth was going to be invaded by these aliens, and then half of New York was destroyed and all kinds of stuff. So there's this group that's kind of this World Security Council that wants to create a better system to allegedly protect the world from bad things, including terrorism. They've created these helicarriers, which are going to carry spy satellites. And the alleged purpose is to prevent any acts of terrorism from happening. So these spy satellites are going to basically blanket the globe. They're going to, I guess, eavesdrop on terrorist movements, and they're going to try and identify these terrorists before they actually strike. So they're going to form a triangle, and that's basically triangulation. If you have 3 listening posts or 3 detectors, you can figure out anyone's position on Earth. And the creators of this Project Insight claim it is a, quote, a peaceful effort to subdue potential attacks around the world. Well, it doesn't work out that way, does it? In fact, it's basically HYDRA's back. They've infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D, which of course is supposed to be the good guys. And this Project Insight is going to, in fact, target all kinds of world leaders in order to make HYDRA rule supreme. And I don't want to spoil the plot, but of course, Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, and Scarlett Johansson, who plays Black Widow, and all their friends get together, and they eventually defeat HYDRA once again, and they prevent this Project Insight from launching.
What if Pakistan marched into Mumbai tomorrow, and you knew that they were going to drag your daughters into a soccer stadium for execution, and you could just stop it with a flick of the switch? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you all?
I found this interesting from a terrorism and a security intelligence perspective for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, yes, there are such things as spy satellites. They are up there. They are taking pictures, very good pictures from what I understand. The technology is so good that a satellite a gazillion miles up can read someone's car license plates. That's pretty good. And there's no question that satellites do intercept an awful lot of communications that help security intelligence organizations follow the bad guys. So, for example, a satellite over Afghanistan could pick up Al-Qaeda or Taliban communications, or take imagery of training camps. And there's no question that these satellites help direct operations such as missile strikes or drone strikes. So the fact that satellites are used in a counterterrorism perspective is absolutely true. Now, could they blanket the Earth? Well, they probably pretty well do right now. Even when I worked in signals intelligence at Communications Security Establishment, which is Canada's member of the Five Eyes Listening Club, we were doing pretty good in terms of, we didn't have our own satellites to the best of my knowledge, but we were part of that network which had access to all kinds of satellites, mostly American, but there are also some of the other partners had satellites. And we would collect raw intelligence on not just terrorist threats, but all kinds of other things. So the technology was pretty good when I was there, and I left in 2000. I can't imagine what the technology is like right now. So the use of spy satellites to pick up the communications, the plans, the intentions, the capabilities of terrorist groups has been around for a very, very long time. So this is a very realistic thing. Now, of course, this is a Marvel movie, and so you got to take it with a grain of salt in terms of what the satellites were really going to do and what Hydra's role was and whether that was going to form a new world government and assassinate world leaders, etc., etc., etc. But at least from the technological perspective, the use of satellites in counterterrorism operations, that's bang on, no pun intended. The other aspect, I think, of Winter Soldier I want to look at is, of course, the role played by Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky. This, of course, was Captain America's buddy during the Second World War, whom he thought had died, and in fact had been rescued by HYDRA, who performed experiments on him to make him into a super soldier called the Winter Soldier. And apparently, over the last 50 years, he's been responsible for 200 assassinations around the world, including the death of Iron Man's parents. So Howard and Maria Stark were killed by the Winter Soldier. You get that in a future movie, spoiler alert. Is Bucky, as the Winter Soldier, a terrorist? This is a really good question, and I don't have a really good answer for you. There's no question that he has taken part in extreme acts of violence, which is part of the half of the definition of terrorism. The other half is that, what is the motivation for those attacks? And normally, although there is some variation around the world, what we associate with terrorism is ideological, political, or religious underpinnings. In other words, you're killing for a cause. And that cause has to have one or several of those three elements, political, ideological, or religious. Can you call what HYDRA espouses an ideology? I mean, they want to control the world, right?
Of course!
It's just like any other, science fiction or, whatever Marvel type film. You got these organizations that try to rule the world, right? These evil emperors or these evil leaders. I'm not sure I'd call it an ideology. Is it political? Partly, because they are taking out political leaders by assassinating them. So that part might rule. Is it religious? No, it's not religious in the merest possible form. So I'm going to kind of waffle a little bit on whether or not HYDRA constitutes a terrorist organization and whether or not, therefore, Bucky, in the form of this superhuman soldier, constitutes a terrorist. The other thing I kind of want to weigh on very, very briefly is this notion that terrorists are some kind of superhuman people. They're not. They're just average people that happen to be wedded to a cause and they like killing people for that cause. So the notion that somehow Osama bin Laden was larger than life or Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was some kind of a monster that was created, it's pretty bogus stuff. So I don't really think Bucky was a terrorist. I don't really think HYDRA is a terrorist organization. But you know what? It has elements of that. All in all, a typical Marvel film, very, very entertaining. I understand there's a sequel coming out soon, so we'll see what happens in the future. Of course, Bucky does come back in another film down the road, and maybe there'll be a terrorist team to that one as well. The film I really want to comment on, that's coming up very soon, is Iron Man 3, because that's got a real link to terrorism, albeit not very realistic. Spoiler alert. Anyhow, I didn't have a Captain America jersey to wear today, but I do have the Slovak IHF team. So it's got red, white, and blue. I don't think Captain America wears a Slavic cross, but anyhow, it's the best I could do. And for your Hardy Boys Guide to Life, your tip for wisdom today. Yeah, it's one of the questionable ones. I'm sorry. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here, guys. I'm getting to the end of the book. Never drink pulp from an unidentified cactus. It could be poisonous. That comes to you from the mark on the door. I guess the lesson there is if you're doing surveillance in the desert and you're thirsty and there's nothing left and you know that cactuses have lots of water inside and you cut the cactus to get the juicy pulp inside, make sure it's not a poisonous cactus because you might kill yourself. Thank you, Joe and Frank Hardy, for that useful tip on how to stay alive in a desert when all they're around are cacti. Anyhow, did you watch Captain America Winter Soldier? What did you think? Did you think that Bucky was a terrorist? Do you think HYDRA is a terrorist organization? Love to get your feedback. You can reach me on email, borealisrisk@gmail.com, or on Twitter @BorealisSaves. You can also find me on LinkedIn and on Facebook. If you like this content and want more, please go to the website, borealisthreatrisk.com, hit the subscribe button. You'll get all the podcasts, all the blogs, everything that I produce free to your inbox on a daily basis. I also want to point out that you can order my new book, The Peaceable Kingdom, A History of Terrorism in Canada from Confederation to the Present, on the website. It's only $25 Canadian. And I also want to encourage you to sign up to my YouTube channel. Now that I'm live streaming Monday through Friday on all things national security and terrorism, I'd love you to be part of the conversation. Hope to hear from you soon. I'll talk to you again. Take care. Stay safe.